we're going to get a little less goofy. Well, it depends on what you qualify as goofy, but either way. Because I don't know if you guys noticed, but things have been getting kind of insane lately, like kind of really insane. But the thing here is, and when I want to get to the heart of this, the thing here is they want you to be like so mournful of what's happening, or what would have happened, even though they would have never done that if it was someone who was like on the ideological left. And they continuously would prove how much they do not care. That's what I'm fucking mad about. Because you're not going to look me in my shit and try to moralize to me that people can't be happy that a person like Charlie Kirk, who has done awful, terrible shit, you know, queer people, for example.
One man and one woman.
Charlie Kirk has been fatally shot while speaking at a university in Utah. The conservative activist and Trump ally was shot moments after answering a question about trans school shooters. Videos circulating online show an attendee asking Kirk,
let's not show
transgender Americans have been mass shooters over the last 10 years, to which he responds with, too many. A study from the Violence Prevention Project found that
and of course he said too many because he doesn't know the facts of this stuff. Because this is all vibes, you guys. It's rancid, but it's all vibes. Nothing about reality matters to these people at all. Gender by mass shootings, 98% male, 2% female, less than 1% transgender. Too many though.
Less than 1% of school shootings in the U.S. were carried out by transgender individuals. But where did Charlie Kirk stand on LGBTQ+ issues? At the age of 18, he formed Turning Point USA, a conservative activist group known for his series of Prove Me Wrong debates, recorded live at left-leaning universities across the U.S., at which LGBTQ+ issues would often be discussed.
Puberty is not the problem. Puberty is the solution to the trans issue.
Charlie would often debate queer college students on the topic of being transgender, making his stance explicitly clear.
You're lying to yourself and lying to other people that you could become something other than what you are born.
He has also been vocal about his disagreement with same-sex marriage.
I believe marriage is between one man and one woman.
Charlie's views extended to LGBTQ+ rights.
We must ban trans-affirming care the entire country. I think that monogamous heterosexual marriage should be a prerequisite to adoption.
Following Charlie's shooting, 2 people were arrested and later released. At present, no other suspects have been arrested.
Oh, this is an old video. So like, and that's the mild shit, right? That is the mild stuff. Like that's when we could talk about him. Try to focus on black people, just black people. Charlie Kirk, in his own words, 17 quotes that you should read from right-wing activist and Trump ally who was tragically shot and killed Wednesday in Utah. Black people. Black people. Happening all the time in urban America, prowling blacks go around for fun to target white people. That is a fact. It's happening more and more. And all of these are sourced. All of these are sourced. Oh, he's saying this shit right here.
Despite that, though, a certain video went very viral, and we got a couple questions on this. I want to read this one from Rebecca from Idaho. Charlie, I watch the show every day. I love what you do and how fearless you are. Isn't it racist to call white women Karens? Are they just hurling it as a slur? Did you see what happened in New York City? What's your take on the so-called Karen story from New York City? As a white woman, I'm beginning to get pissed off when I hear it. Would love your thoughts, Rebecca. Okay, so this is somewhat of a complicated story, but it really isn't, okay? So there is a pregnant white woman who worked at a hospital who is going to go. Basically, in New York City, you're able to rent bikes.
Oh, this happened a couple years ago. If you guys don't remember, it was, like he's saying, it was a woman, like a pregnant woman or whatever, a nurse who was renting one of those like bird bikes and shit. And then she basically was saying that these black people stole her bike.
Okay, so you're able to rent bikes. This white Karen, again, this is a 4-month pregnant woman. So this white woman gets completely misrepresented. This is a pregnant woman equivalent of Nicholas Sandmann. She got suspended from her job because of this. This is Nicholas Sandmann 2.0. Now, were they trying to hijack her? Were these blacks trying to go rob her? Happening all the time in urban America.
So just right there, right? Where these blacks trying to rob her happens all the time in urban America.
Prowling blacks go around for fun to go target white people. That's a fact. It's happening more and more.
Prowling blacks go around targeting white people. That's a fact. Prowling blacks go around for fun to go target white people. That's a fact, and it's happening more and more. Like, that's here. Now, why did this happen? This happened because the audience, the population, you have been conditioned to social justice warrior simulation theory. That anytime you see a confrontation, anytime you see let's say a quarrel, anytime you see an argument, anytime you see something between a white person and black person, I like how white person is lowercase and black person is capital. You have been trained. You have been conditioned to believe that it is the white person that's terrorizing the black person. If you thought this video was really what the media told you. Oh, here's this best part. Do you know that more than 600, is that a real stat, Blake? Come on, is it real? I don't know if that stat is real. Okay, I'm going to say it. More than 600 white women are murdered by black men. 600 white women a year. Did you know that? By blacks. So 600 white women are murdered by blacks a year. One just happened. Well, he was a Hispanic. He might have been half black. Doesn't really matter. Here in Scottsdale, young 29-year-old girl walking on a hiking trail, and a trans Hispanic comes and stabs her to death. So look how we pivoted from being racist against black people to randomly mentioning a trans person and a Hispanic people, or sorry, a Hispanic person, saying it doesn't matter. Admitting, let's hear him actually say this though.
So Karen tactics.
Let's see right here.
Where she's now willing to sue anytime you see he might have been half black. Doesn't really matter.
Okay, so we'll go.
White. I don't know if that's that. To believe that it's the white person that is terrorizing the black person. If you thought this video was really what the media told you.
Let's just let Charlie say this too. All right, let's let Charlie say it.
Do you know that more than 600? Is that stat real, Blake? Come on. Is it real? I don't know if that stat is real. We're going to double. Okay, I'm going to say it. More than 600 white women a year are murdered by black men. 600 white women a year. Did you know that? By blacks. So 600 white women are murdered by blacks a year. One just happened, was a Hispanic. He might have been half black. Doesn't really matter. Here in Scottsdale, young 29-year-old girl walking on a hiking trail, and a trans Hispanic comes and stabs her to death.
Just arbitrarily making shit up. Just arbitrarily making shit up. And just gets away with it. Because, like, yeah, sure, who cares? If I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified. We're going back to his quotes, by the way. Black women, they're coming out and they're saying, I'm only here because of affirmative action. Yeah, we know you don't have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken seriously. You have to go steal a white person's slot to go be taken somewhat seriously. And I want to play you this one because it is one of the most disingenuous shits you will see.
In fact, you know, if we would have said 3 weeks ago, Blake, if we would have said that Joy Reid and Michelle Obama and Sheila Jackson Lee and Ketanji Brown Jackson were affirmative action picks, we would have been called the racist. But now they're coming out and they're saying it for us. They're coming out and they're saying, I'm only here because of affirmative action. Yeah, we know. You do not have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken really seriously. You had to go steal a white person's slot to go be taken somewhat seriously. Play cut 52.
But I rise today as a clear recipient of affirmative action, and particularly in higher education. I may have been admitted on affirmative action, both in terms of being a woman and a woman of color, but I can declare that I did not graduate on affirmative action. This is my personal story.
I like how he cuts it off there. So that's Representative Sheila Lee, right? Jackson Lee, lawyer and former United States Representative, education, University of Virginia Law, Yale University, New York University, Jamaica High School. So she went to NYU, then got into fucking Yale, and then went to University of Virginia School of Law. Now, for people who don't know, the way affirmative action works, or I should have say worked because it's no longer a thing, is that instead of specifically looking at one population pool, which typically was just white people only, and not only that, but affluent white people, they had to expand because they were denying other people, including other white people, the opportunity for higher education. If you weren't of a certain financial background, obviously ethnicity counts too, right? Then you were overlooked. You weren't being accepted into these schools. That's why we have things like HBCUs, historically black college universities, because they were not letting non-white people into their universities. So having affirmative action in this case meant that they had to look elsewhere. And so when they picked Sheila, when she got in, it wasn't because, well, you're black, we're going to move you all the way through Yale. All that meant was they had to look at her to be accepted. They didn't cut her slack. They didn't lower their requirements. Because it is a very racist ideal to think that people being hired of different ethnicities are hired solely on the fact they're different ethnicities and that they have no education, no training, no skill set whatsoever, which is clearly not the case. You don't get DEI hired to go to Yale, right? You have to get into Yale. This is part of the application process. They couldn't just turn her away because she was a black woman, because women were also vastly underrepresented in higher education. And people like to pretend that there's no historical context, as if black people, as if women in this country were just treated like fucking royalty. And then, oh, they all not want special permission and special attention and ignore the literal centuries of oppression. No, this isn't a remembering Charlie Kirk stream. This is part of a larger point I'm going to get to. You guys know I take my time though. But just this sort of rhetoric, right? He's doing this so he can be racist towards black people. Because what he's going to say, you know, I won't spoil it, but here we go.
Graduate on affirmative action. This is my personal story.
I hear because of action affirmative. She can't even say that.
Mind you, Charlie Kirk is a college, I think he's a community college dropout.
We know. It's very obvious to us that you were not smart enough to be able to get in on your own. I couldn't make it on my own, so I needed to take opportunities from someone more deserving.
So see how he frames that? How before you saw the clip, it was black women couldn't get it on their own, so they had to steal from white people, as if that spot was guaranteed to white people. And anytime a non-white person takes their spot, it's because of affirmative action. That's all the reason they got into place, right? Not because they were also equally qualified. And the reverse is never true. They never say that this person got the job because they're white. It's always they're qualified. But if they're black, Hispanic, anything else, well, really black and Hispanic, because they have stereotypes for other cultures. It's affirmative action. They're dumb. They're just doing it for diversity's sake. But then he says this, right?
I couldn't make it on my own, so I needed to take opportunities from someone more deserving.
From someone more deserving. Who was more deserving? What opportunity did she take? How is this any different from colleges or Ivy League schools who only accept like 30 people a year? How is this any different? Were they not also then denying other people the opportunities because they only let like 50 people in the school? Like, do you see how when you start actually thinking, all this shit is just racism? That's it. There's no logic here.
This is how arrogant Joy Reid and Ketanji Brown Jackson and Michelle Obama and Sheila Jackson Lee are. They're so narcissistic, they think this is persuasive. They think we're like, oh, of course, That's why we need affirmative action, because you have impressed us with your brilliance.
Again, an idiot, right? We don't have to watch the whole thing. But shortly after, Charlie Kirk made up a fake story about black pilots named Ramon and Cadillac. Says the grifter who's not at community college. But there's more to this, because there's a person in my comment section who was like, oh, just showing a tweet and a summary of his things isn't enough to judge him who as a person. So I'm doing this, in case people are curious, to highlight why there are large swaths of people who aren't upset that he's no longer here. But once again, this is not me condoning any of that. I'm trying to make people understand that when there is someone who actively attacks marginalized communities, people of said community aren't going to be too broken up about it when he's gone. And the fact that people are trying to make it seem like this is a weird sensation had me saying, if Hitler was still alive and he still, deleted himself, now there would be people on Twitter saying Jewish people are a little bit too excited right now. Like that is the same level of disingenuous we're operating with here. Okay, I could show you all these quotes, and these aren't even all of the quotes he said or done. These are just the 17 of them. We made a huge mistake when we passed the Civil Rights Act mid-1960s. Death penalty should be public, should be quick, should be televised. I think at a certain age, it's initiation. At what age should you start to see public executions? I can't stand the word empathy, actually. I think empathy is a made-up New Age term that does a lot of damage. Reject feminism, submit to your husband, Taylor, you're not in charge. You might want to crack open the Bible of yours, and a lesser reference part of the same part of scripture it is in Leviticus 18 is that thou shalt lay with another man shall be stoned to death. Just saying. So Miss Rachel, the woman who is currently being attacked for having empathy towards children of Gaza, you quote Leviticus 19, the chapter before affirms God's perfect law when it comes to sexual matters. His perfect law is that gay people should be stoned to death. That isn't literal advocating for the deaths of an entire group of people. George Floyd, this guy was a scumbag. It's not the great replacement theory, it's the great replacement reality. Just this year, 3.6 million foreigners will invade America. 10 to 15 million will enter by end of Joe Biden's term. Each will probably have 3 to 5 kids on average, while native-born Americans will have 1.5 per couple. You're being replaced by design. So here he said the great replacement theory is about white people in this country becoming minorities. So with that framework understood, him saying native-born Americans means white people are only having 1.5 per couple. White people are being replaced by design. Guns. It's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so we can have the Second Amendment. Like, MLK was awful. He's not a good person. He said one good thing he actually didn't believe. Like, they aren't even Muslims. They aren't even hiding their intentions. Muslims plan to conquer Europe by demographic replacement. Will Europe wake up in time? Palestine. I don't think a place exists. Transgender people. You're an abomination to God. And I know a lot of people, a lot of fucking losers will be like, based. So based. He's telling the truth. He's so based. He's so based. He's so based. But the people who are being negatively affected by that don't think he's based. Right? They don't think he's based. Where was mind you, he said gun deaths were acceptable. This is after Sandy Hook, like way after Sandy Hook. Right? Like in fact, I think this was in response to don't tell me this is from Uvalde. Hold on, let's actually watch this.
Now, we must also be real. We must be honest with the population. Having an armed citizenry comes with a price. And that is part of liberty. Driving comes with a price. 50,000 people die on the road every year. That's a price. You get rid of driving, you'd have 50,000 less auto fatalities. But we have decided that the benefit of driving, speed, accessibility, mobility, having products, services, is worth the cost of 50,000 people dying on the road. So we need to be very clear that you're not going to get gun deaths to zero. It will not happen. You can significantly reduce them through having more fathers in the home.
No. Okay. So you see how immediately he's doing an emotional appeal, right? There's no logic behind this. The Department of Transportation, National Safety Highway, LA traffic fatalities 2024, projecting that 39,000 people die in traffic crashes. This represents a decrease of 2% compared to the year before. It marks the first time since 2020 the numbers have fell below 40,000. It's encouraging to see that traffic fatalities are continuing to fall from their COVID pandemic highs. Total road fatalities, however, remain significantly higher than a decade ago, and America's traffic fatality rate remains relatively high per many peer nations. To reduce fatalities further, US DOT is working closely with the law enforcement community to enhance traffic enforcement on roads, including speeding, impairment, distraction, and lack of seatbelt use. A leading cause. So, leading causes including impaired driving, like drugs, speeding, distracted driving, whatever, using cell phone. So, to just say that there was 40,000, to just say there's 40,000 people die in cars every year, or 50,000 die in cars every year, is not the whole story. Because what we could do is we could do things to eliminate, people driving impaired, which according to the data we just saw, we've been reducing it year over year over the last 5 years to get it to pre-pandemic lows. And we'll concede this point. We'll never get it to zero, but at least we're trying. And then for him to go well, actually, the only way is to reduce gun deaths is by having fathers in the home. No, that's not the way to reduce gun deaths. That's an insane thing to say.
By having more armed guards in front of schools.
Why would having more armed guards in front of school reduce gun death? Why would having more guns reduce the outcomes that guns produce? This would be like if I said, there are too many bombs around, so we need more bombs so we can blow up the other bombs. You cannot defeat the proliferation of guns by saying, we'll have more armed guards. Well, he's playing to his crowd. He's not saying anything of substance.
We should have an honest and clear reductionist view of gun violence, but we should not have a utopian one. You will never live in a society when you have an armed citizenry and you won't have a single gun death. That is nonsense. It's drivel. But I think it's worth it. I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights. That is a prudent deal.
And here's the thing too. At the very least, he gave examples of the function cars, automobiles serve, right? He said, the speed of access, transportation, you could supply things, whatever, which is all valid. But then when it comes to guns, he's given no reason outside of protect our Second Amendment right. The Second Amendment also mentions the part about having a well-regulated militia, which in this common day parlance could be considered like police officers, which is a whole different story. But he's given no actual reason as to why you should have guns outside of, the Second Amendment. And then to make this false argument, people are saying we should have zero gun deaths. People aren't dumb. We know we're not going to get zero to anything. But we are talking about in regards to the mass shootings that only happen in this country with such regularity that when he was a victim of gun violence, so were two other people. There were two other shootings that happened. One that happened the same day that he fell victim to gun violence, and then the very next day, a 16-year-old shot two teenagers, and then I think killed themselves. There is a stark difference between wanting more common sense laws when it comes to guns than just saying we want no gun deaths. He mentioned cars. We should regulate cars, we should regulate guns the same way we regulate cars. I hate this almost nihilistic mindset people have where it's well, because we can't get something to zero, don't even bother. Like, that makes no sense.
It is rational. Nobody talks like this. They live in a complete alternate universe. So then how do you reduce? Very simple. People say, oh, Charlie, how do you stop school shootings? I don't know. How did we stop shootings at baseball games? Because we have armed guards outside of baseball games. That's why.
You had armed guards and Uvalde. And how did we stop shooting at baseball games? As if baseball games were being shot at with such regularity. Like, I can't even finish this shit. But like, again, and this is just some of like the tamer shit he's said. Like, he brings up black people a lot. With Martin Luther King says he was bad. Like, all this shit, right? And again, this is all leading to a larger point. These are some of the stuff that he himself has willingly said. And you guys expect people across the board to be like, we should mourn for him. That's an insane thing to ask from people, especially because it's coming from the same hypocrites that do shit like this, that make George Floyd jokes 5 years later, 5 years after he's died. 5 years after his death, people are still making memes, still making jokes about him. Like, look at this. Happy George Floyd, 5 years drug-free. Congratulations to George. This is Laura Loomer. Congratulations to George Floyd on being 5 years sober today. This is Laura Loomer who wrote this year. This year she wrote this. May 25th. She wrote this. This is the same Laura Loomer, mind you, who was saying that these calls for violence and stuff is disgusting and gross. And there she is making fun of George Floyd. So many people make fun of George Floyd. And then when people call him out on that, it is, I can get, the comments are, but he was a criminal. Oh, look at this first one. George Floyd was a career criminal who once pointed a gun at a pregnant woman's belly during the commission of armed robbery. He sadly overdosed during the commission of yet another felony while in police custody. Charlie Kirk was a devoted fireman who loves his country. Kirk was a better human. This is immaterial. These are the people who are moralizing to us right now how it's awful to make jokes and how to not be upset about this and all this stuff. And they're trying to protect their ads. Laura Loomer herself is deleting tweets in which she was going after Charlie Kirk. She was also contributing to that. You have people like Derek Evans, Democrats Party of Hate and Violence. Merry Christmas. Here's a picture of Trump and then Biden, Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi, Dr. Fauci, Hillary Clinton, and Obama being hung on the noose. And these are the people who were like, Democrats are the party of hate and violence. Liberals are angry, leftists are bad and terrible, and this and that. Once again, George Floyd. Derek Chauvin didn't kill George Floyd. Fentanyl did. Him saying, and then him acting like, oh, 23,000 likes in 4 hours. This is the left. You know who? And because they'll also will say, well, he was a father. So was George Floyd. And George Floyd didn't say shit. He didn't say anything. Actually, he did say something. Tragically, he said, I can't breathe. And people made that into a meme. They memed him, his last words. They memed him, right? They did all this shit about George Floyd, who wasn't even a political person. And then the people on the right tried to make him a martyr for the people on the left, especially black people, by consistently talking about him. There are George Floyd meme coins. There's Droid Floyd. There's people who are selling socks on him. Okay. And these are the same people who want us to be like sad about Charlie Kirk passing. I'm like, you don't get to create this environment for decades where you're telling people empathy is bad, as Charlie Kirk himself stated that empathy He's bad. He doesn't like empathy. I can't stand the word empathy. Actually, I think empathy is a made up new age term that does a lot of damage. This is my confusion with everything. How do you have the audacity to get on the internet and try to browbeat people into like your worldview when your worldview is completely dependent on who you're allowed to hate? Because again, they didn't do this shit when Nancy Pelosi's husband was attacked. There was no flying the shit at half-mast for that. Melissa Hortman got killed this year. She was assassinated this year. In June. Nothing. A straight up political killing right then and there in her own home. Her husband, her dog, killed. Nothing. Not a peep. Like this, and this is the frustrating part. It's and then you have dumbasses like Grums who are like, the leftists understand that shoes don't matter. We know the modes don't matter because we called that. We knew this was just a veneer for you guys to be more bloodthirsty. You had Tectone calling for public executions. And now what he's trying to do is make Hassan the next target, right? Hassan, we need to kill all landlords and let the roads soak in their capitalist blood. If you want to fix America, you would kill Rick Scott. Charlie Kirk, guys, you know someone's got to do it. Charlie Kirk assassinated. Wow, this is horrible. I can't believe this happened, you guys. I don't condone this. Pretends to cry to seek, seem human. Go fuck yourself, you terrorist-loving piece of shit. So all of this shit completely taken out of context, right? We know that because it's Tectone. But this is their new move now. They just want people to die. That's it. Like that's it. That's their whole thing. I'm going to say something now. So the reason a lot of people come to say, I do not condone nor do I wish anyone of my community to kill or do harm to anyone in real life. To those who disagree or oppose me, to those who have slandered me, I wish dealt with by the legal system, banned or punished. To kill someone over difference of political views is fucking insane. And yet, his fucking pinned post is ammunition to direct violence towards one person by calling him a terrorist lover. Like, do you see what I'm talking about? These people are not genuine people. They want the blood sport. They love the blood. Which is why he's said shit like he wants public executions. People gotta be shook. I'm getting clout on Twitter. I'm about to be a fucking menace. People not understanding the difference between an assassination versus public execution. It is time we love weaponized ignorance on this app. The difference is legality, purpose, and then the fucking judicial system. So again, their whole thing is they're not anti people getting murdered. They don't like or violence. They just want a way to be able to wash their hands of it. Right? I know a lot of you have been afraid to express your true feelings, emotional, due to over-emotional, never rational, far-left climate on social media. Unfortunately, the last few days are what happens when we stay silent and let them silence us. Now is the time to use your voice to express how we are tired of bullshit. Mind you, this is all before they all found out that the shooter was a white guy. September 11th. What do we have anything by September 12th? All he says is, I think it says the shooter's in custody, right? That's it. 11 hours ago. Picture of his dog. But that's it. Not even nothing. And also being like, the tolerant left, you guys, do him next, please. This guy the representation of the left? Is he even a leftist? Who cares? They don't care. People on the internet are saying fucked up things. Like, whatever. Here's a post right here. The ATF has confirmed that the shooter had trans ideology inscribed on the bullets that killed Charlie Kirk with. It appears the shooter was a trans radical. The shooter was not a trans radical. Do you think that he's going to retract that statement? No. In fact, literally, we're on his page right now. Let me go to his replies, maybe. Nothing here about the shooter. It goes from September 11th And then nothing about the shooter. Weird how that works. But when we didn't know who the shooter was, suddenly it's trans radical. Putting all that stuff out there. They're trying to silence us. There's far right rational, far left climb on social media, as if Twitter is far left. Like, so fucking stupid. Here, Trump has just said they have the Charlie Kirk's killer in custody right now, and then after that, nothing. You know what they did? Straight to fuck us on. Thanks for sharing my post. And then going for Twitch. Like, it's so transparent what they're doing. It's so transparent what they're fucking doing. Like, it's so transparent what they're doing. The biggest problem is your fucking nephew. He's just going after Hassan because the fuck Hassan button's popular. But he swears she doesn't want any violence to befall them, even though his buddy, aka the guys whose balls he likes to gargle the most, Asmongold, has basically called for violence against the left. And we have that right here.
Probably what it's going to take for these left-wing people to realize what a bad idea what they've been doing is. Because until it starts happening to them, until they start having people that are their friends, or, you know, their, like icons that they look up to, the same way people looked up to Charlie Kirk.
Mind you, as he says this, remember what we just talked about. Melissa Hortman was murdered in her home by a Trump supporter. Like, I'm not making this shit. I'm not making this shit up. On June 14th, Hortman, her husband, and her Goldman Chief Gilbert were shot and killed in their home by a man impersonating a police officer. Another lawmaker, John Hoffman, and his wife were shot earlier that night by the same man. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz said the shooting appeared to be politically motivated assassination and issued a proclamation that flags at all state buildings be flown at half staff. The suspect in the shooting was 57-year-old Vance Luther Bolter, who was arrested June 15th after a large-scale manhunt. Like, and just so people are like, oh, he was a lefty and this and this and this and the third, right? Bolter preached more than once in a church in the DRC, speaking against abortion rights and transgender people. He appeared as a speaker in 2022 seminar on trade and investment organization by Minnesota Africans United, a nonprofit African immigrants in Minnesota. In 2016, he was appointed to the governor's workforce development board, a nonpartisan 6-member unpaid advisory board by then Governor Mark Dayton. Governor Tim Walz reappointed him to a 4-year term in 2019. That's what them saying that he was a Walz appointee, by the way. That's what they're going for. Bolter's views now appear to align with the political far-right of Christianity in the United States. Bolter had no felonies on record in Minnesota, just minor check violations. Federal charging documents describe Bolter as acting with the intent to kill, injure, harass, and intimidate Minnesota legislators. His anti-abortion views are considered as a possible motive. Bolter was registered to vote in Oklahoma as a Republican for 2004 United States presidential election. Though in 2019 he stated that he had no party preference. He described Bolter as a conservative who voted for President Donald Trump and was strongly against abortion rights, and said Bolter was having financial problems and struggling to find work, adding that he was looking around but immediately gave up and decided to go out in a blaze of glory. Like, and again, so knowing that this is what's actually happened, to hear him say this shit, like, the left has to wait for it to happen to their side, right? Like, it's an insane thing. This is an actual call for violence.
Until they start seeing those people get killed, I don't think it's really going to be real for them. This is the way I look at it. I'm just going to make a categorical judgment here. Is that any content creator or anybody like this who has been advocating for violence against a person in an extrajudicial way. I'm not talking about trying people who they disagree with for treason. This is advocating for the judicial process to be used against people they disagree with.
No, that first off, when people want to try people for treason, the outcome for treason One of them is the death penalty. So it is a roundabout way for people to say, I want this person to die. Do you see how they will always hide behind, oh, well, it's a law. It's judicial. It's a judicial process. You know what else is a judicial process? Due process. When we bombed the Venezuela boat, there was no due process. That was an extrajudicial killing. And then Grums, which I'll get to in a little bit, was supporting that. Tectone, oh no, it's the difference between assassination and public execution is that the state does. It's judicial. It's judicial. They use that as a cover for their bloodthirst. They want to see people dead, but they don't want people to say you're advocating for that. It's like, oh wait, hey, no. Like imagine if I was like, okay, we know what's happening in Gaza, right? A genocide's happening there through Israel's doing and through American backing. If I were to be like, hey, random person I don't like, I think you should take a trip to Gaza. What do you think I'm hinting at? Like, that's the shit I hate the most. They want to act like, nope, I just said get on the plane and go to Gaza. I didn't advocate for someone to die. Yeah, because what's happening in Gaza is they're having a fucking sleepover. Like, they think people are so stupid that they can do these dog whistles that worked in the past. So to be like, oh, well, this is different. They're advocating for judicial process. So it's just going to court. Why do they never say, you know what? I hope you get arrested. I hope you go to court. I hope someone sues you. They never say that shit. It's treason. I hope you get tried for treason, because they know treason or sedition, the outcome is death penalty. The outcomes for treason in the United States can include the death penalty, a minimum of 5 years imprisonment, and a significant fine, and the permanent forfeiture of the right to hold public office. So there's a reason why they always say treason, because one of the outcomes is the death penalty. But they can't just say, I hope you get the death penalty, because that would be directly advocating for someone to die. So what they say is, I hope you get tried for treason. Which is why Asmongold somehow knows this, and which is why he phrased it that way. That's why he said like this.
Judicial way. I'm not talking about trying people who they disagree with for treason. This is advocating for the judicial process.
That is not advocating for the judicial process. That is advocating for the people to die. It's a death penalty.
To be used against people they disagree with, I think that's fine. But whenever you have people that are saying things like 8647, or anybody who's advocating for any form of extrajudicial justice, extrajudicial justice, and basically vigilante justice on people who they disagree with politically, you have to realize that all of those people, I think, have made themselves acceptable targets. And I think that there's a lot and millions of people out there nowadays that see that. And I think that that should be extremely worrying for them. It should be terrifying.
This is the veiled threat.
The reality is that they have created that environment.
This is the veiled threat. And the reality is it has been far right and really just the right wing of the American government that's created this environment, right? You look at the history of the shootings in this country, almost exclusively they're right wing. With barring a few exceptions, they are right wing extremists. They've gotten radicalized due to, God, we don't have time to talk about all the ways to get radicalized on the internet. YouTube is actually one of the ways people get radicalized, right? But to make it like, this is a veiled threat. They should be terrified. Well, yeah, it should happen to you. This isn't the cadence or the approach of someone who's trying to take a measured response and to bring the temperature down, right? This is someone trying to actively stoke. You took one of ours, we'll take one of yours, right? Mind you, at this point when he made this video, no one knew for sure the political leanings of the shooter. People still were saying this was a trans person doing this. No one knew anything. The FBI had like 3 suspects that were had nothing to do with anything. But they say shit like this.
Themselves, through their own actions, through their behavior, and through their own words. You reap what you sow. And I think that things are about to get a whole lot worse. Anyway, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Rest in peace to Charlie Kirk. Another senseless death that never needed to happen.
I wonder if Asmongold has said anything about the other shootings that have happened. I'm going to go on a limb and say no. I'm going to go on a limb and say no, he hasn't. But you know what he has said? Now, granted, I don't know if this is recent. This is probably not a recent thing, but he still has said this.
Describe white supremacists and says the mixed couples are disgusting. Yeah, but
This is him talking about Nick Fuentes, who is the next step in this whole Charlie Kirk, Asmongold, all this shit, right?
And because Nick Fuentes is self-described white supremacist and says the mixed couples are disgusting. Yeah, but I've watched Dr. Umar too. I think he's funny too. What's the problem with that? So what? They're racist. Okay, that's fine. They still say some funny stuff. And every once in a while, they're right about something.
So now, Dr. Umar is nowhere near the level of a Nick Fuentes. Dr. Umar is such a niche, relatively his whole thing is just black women, date black women, don't play outside your race. Not the best, by the way, but Dr. Umar gets used as a meme anytime black people find a white woman attractive, right? This is not a serious thing. Nick Fuentes is a self-avowed white nationalist. He's a white supremacist who says the N-word, who advocates for a harm against Jewish people. Like, he is a literal racist. And Asmongold's thing is, who cares? Sometimes they're funny and sometimes they say the right things. What right things would Nick Fuentes be saying you agree with, Asmongold? Mind you, given his recent turn, if there was someone that he didn't align with saying this, he want to get them canceled, because that's what this whole thing's been about too. When I made this video, when I talked about, hey, Asmongold is doing the same shit he said people shouldn't do, and they're doing that in order to harass people. Like it's I said this would happen. I said this was going to happen. These are the kind of people. This is who they are. This is who they are. And you guys want me to believe they're genuine, that they really care about what's happening with society or what's happening with gaming or what's happening in the world. And they don't. Everything here is being used as ammunition for them to be awful. That's it. Like, that's it. They just want to be awful. And now they have permission to be worse people. That's all this has ever been about. Like, these people aren't genuine. They don't care. This is just so they can be mean on the internet to people. Like, Asmongold's dad has pancreatic cancer. And he's on the internet asking people to compile lists of enemies that he can fucking harass in videos.
One of these companies and you have a person like this doing it, make sure to talk to HR and let them know how uncomfortable you feel that there's a person who's working at your company who might want to advocate to have you killed because you disagree with them. Tell them that it makes you afraid to come into work.
Mind you, these aren't things that are happening. This is what he's telling people to say to HR departments to get people fired. He's not saying this is happening. He's saying to say this.
One of these companies and you have a person like this doing it, make sure to talk to HR and let them know how uncomfortable you feel that there's a person who's working at your company who might want to advocate to have you killed because you disagree with them. Tell them that it makes you afraid to come into work. Tell them that, you know, you don't know, maybe you're going to file a lawsuit. You feel unsafe at your workplace. And honestly, here's the important thing. You should feel unsafe because these people would justify violence against anybody who disagrees with them. And just because you think you know them doesn't mean they would.
This is such fucking projection too. It's just, again, like I showed in my video, projection. Everything he's saying is literally this his ideological side has been doing, has done, and continues to do.
Wouldn't do the exact same thing to you. And this is them. This is the game that they're making right here. And you can see that they've made no statement about this. Now, let me ask you a very simple question. If these people made a degrading comment towards the trans community, for example, or towards
like you have
towards the black community, for example, do you think Sucker Punch would have immediately fired them and made a statement? I think so, absolutely. But for some reason, these people are protected. And the reason why they're protected is because there's a lot of other ones at the company that feel the exact same way.
So not only is he fucking projecting, he's hallucinating things. He thinks that one of the design, like, it was like, who was it? It was like a fucking graphic. Who was it? Hold on. I just had this up. I'm so sorry. A Blue Sky account with 2,000 followers that made post that got 18 likes and 66 likes. They think that Sucker Punch would be aware of that immediately. And like, well, we're going to get rid of him. Sucker Punch, it did in fact fire them, by the way. They did get let go by Sucker Punch because of the harassment campaign of Asmongold. So unfortunately, it did work. But to be like, they haven't made a comment about that. Yeah, bro.
That they do. That's the only logical reason that I have.
The only logical reason is not because, like I stated, that this is a small fucking account that they would have to be scouring to even know they did that, especially on their own private account on Blue Sky of all places, not Twitter, where we got probably picked up a lot quicker because of the environment Twitter is. No, it's because they're protecting them because other people probably feel this way too. That's the only thing I could come up with. Of course, that's the only thing you can come up with. You're a fucking idiot who's a paranoid loser who thinks that people are trying to come after him specifically. Like, it's...
And I think that at a certain point, Sony or somebody needs to step in. Whoever owns this company needs to step in and root out this disease before it kills the entire company. Because I do think that it will have a tremendously negative effect on the game.
Pre-order charts worldwide in May and again in September. Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I don't. Why is Dr. Disaster's video being referenced here? What the fuck? Abandoned Ghost Hotel pre-sale numbers are weak. Dead on arrival. Okay, real quick. Do you see how they like to? Okay, so Asmongold is their leader, right? Everyone who does this grift slop bullshit on YouTube, he's their leader. So he says something and then they follow through with it. What do you mean their pre-number? Ghost of Tsushima sequel, Ghost of Yote, spelled incorrectly, has low pre-number numbers comparable to Dragon Age Voga, indicating a lack of excitement among fans. 4 days ago. Dead on arrival 3 days ago. Like, these are, and yet it said it's chop the tarts. It's chart the tops. It's topped the charts. So then he goes and says, this is episode 1, by the way. I will continue to do this until they are all gone or the companies that protect them have their reputations destroyed beyond repair. Keep joining Twitter community, keep sharing posts. It's working even faster than I anticipated. And then in another video, he says that he wants to keep doing this. So let's go to this one now. Because this is what I was saying.
We're going to look at some of the interesting users on You Would Never Believe
Whatever.
Has to do his job rather than just copy pasting something off of Twitter. But anyway, you've got somebody. Or we'll start off with this. These are people. Dennis. Let's look at this, and this is also on Blue Sky. I'm 6'5" and Vans. Blue Sky Social. Sound effects associate at Bungie. So Bungie, you know the game that's trying to make Marathon. I guess they were too busy. It was
the game that's trying to make Marathon. Okay.
Sound effects, not visual effects. So maybe he actually has to do his job rather than just copy pasting something off of Twitter.
What the fuck are you talking about?
You've got somebody like this who's advocating for, and again, people might think that it's not a big deal. Oh, well, these people aren't making these statements themselves. These people aren't really saying anything that is that extreme. Here's the reason why it's a big problem. The reason why is because it creates an ecosystem and an environment where the actual extremism and the actual radical behavior is feeling comfortable. It feels comfortable.
This is such fucking, holy shit. This is such fucking production. This is Asmongold and his community. This is Asmongold and his community. This is why every time he does a stream of like a PlayStation event or a game director or whatever, they see a woman on screen and they go DEI, LLL, F in chat, DEI. Like, this is him and his community. He creates the shit that it's such projection.
In an environment where you have this blasé, passive acceptance of it, and you have,
mind you, creating environment, blasé, passive acceptance of it. Okay, all right. So would you guys say that saying something like, I don't fucking
As
know.
a self-described white supremacist and says that mixed couples are disgusting. Yeah, but I've watched Dr. Umar too. I think he's funny too. What's the problem with that? So what? They're racist. Okay, that's fine. They still say some funny stuff. And every once in a while, they're right about something. So yeah, I don't give a fuck. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me at all.
So would you say that creates an environment like that, this blasé demeanor of yours? Would you say that would be like, I don't know, permission to be racist in your community because you do not care if people are racist because you find it funny? Like, do you guys see what I mean when I say these people aren't genuine people? Like, they're not genuine people. Like, he is describing the effect he has on the environment.
Have people that are just basically complicit with it, but they're not openly saying it. They're just privately doing it, or they're just privately voicing their support as well. And well, I guess in this case, it's not private anymore, is it? And so anyway, we have a associate producer at Bungie who is...
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be a dick about this, but he is... I know I mispronounce things pretty frequently. Well, not frequently. I mispronounce things. But just this whole stretch, just everything he's saying it so weirdly.
Voicing their support as well. And well, I guess in this case, it's not private anymore, is it? And so anyway, we have a associate producer at Bungie.
Producer,
who is
what's
liking
happening?
And promoting tweets that are celebrating the death of a person being shot in the neck in front of their family and bleeding out profusely on the stage in front of millions of people. And so, good job, Bungie.
Not millions.
Really good.
But, I'm gonna get to the point. He says
at Sucker Punch. Amateur cosplay armor, D&D enjoyer, source of corgi pics, they and she. Okay, so we have also, and you're going to see this word, this term, sucker punch, a number of times. We're not talking about the action, but we are talking about the company.
The term. Everyone knows it's the company, dumbass.
Itself, has gone multiple times on record making the most deranged, stupid comments like defunding the police. She's just your typical like libtard, insaniac, moron, retard, right?
Hey, I have a question. Were they not just saying like calling people names is bad because it might trigger people and lead them to do like awful things? But him using like not even just the R word, but like libtard, isn't that not charged by their own standards? Like, these people don't even operate with their own fucking rules, dude. It's so annoying.
Advocate to have you killed because you disagree with them. Tell them that it makes you afraid to come into work.
This is the part we saw before.
Tell you that game that they're making right here. And the reason why they're protected is company. Because I do a couple of days ago about Ghosts of Yotai, and you can see 1,000 comments on
Jesus
this.
Christ.
Your senior dev at Sucker Punch is a violent leftist, etc. Then take a break, relax, pat yourself, never let up the pressure.
This part right here. This part of the video right here perfectly illustrates what I was telling you guys in the other video. This has nothing to do with making things better. This isn't going to improve anything. This isn't about making the game company or game spacing more inclusive or more understanding or whatever. This is about having ideological enemies and forever suffering. Right? If you guys are familiar with what's happening with Alyssa Mercante and that whole situation, right? Where, you know, Ratface Smash JT has been harassing her for over a year, making literally hundreds of videos about her, continuously doing so. And he's had videos of him coming out saying that if he were to lose the lawsuit, he would ramp up the vitriol against her. Because this isn't about, and their whole excuse before was, we want her out of gaming. Fine. She no longer works at Kotaku. And then they continue that because it wasn't about getting her out of gaming. It was about making an enemy forever and always attacking them. And then Asmongold's about to preach the exact same shit here.
Never, ever, ever do that. Keep this pressure up until these people lose their jobs. And then after they lose their jobs, then take a break, relax, pat yourself on the back, wait for them to get another one, and then do it again. And that's the only way that you should treat these animals. And that's exactly what they are. You shouldn't view them as people. You should.
So, Asmongold, here's a question. You advocated for the genocide of Palestinians because you said they had an inferior culture. Did you not? Of course you did. So you then should be endlessly, forever harassed, right? Because all these people did was like a fucking tweet. Again, I've shown you guys the tweet. You're seeing the tweet right now. And you're saying they should never get a job ever, period. In all of history, they should never get a job for the rest of the time. You have advocated for the genocide of an entire group of people. You have gleefully watched people getting beaten by the police. You think it's okay to run over protesters. You have said and done awful shit, way worse than that, what you're accusing them of. So then you should also be relentlessly harassed, right? Every time you upload a video, every time you do something, you should be harassed. And here's the thing. I called this out before he made this video. If we go back to the end of my video, God damn it. You know, I had shot this video before.
Around whether these people are good actors or bad actors. These people are not good people. They're not on the right side of history. They're fucking bullies. They're fucking aggressive, abusive, vitriolic.
So this part right here, this part's covering it. Sorry, I'll read it to you. These are Grum's tweets. If you leave X and flee to Blue Sky, you are by definition mentally... Okay, so this, and should not be telling gamers what to think about or what to play, or be a senior community management policies, especially if your last game was never production work on Concord, Telba Hire by Microsoft. So this woman, I'm actually glad I blocked it out so you can't see her whole name so they get doxxed. She worked at Concord, and then Concord narrative producers, now community manager at Microsoft Games. Why is always community manager? He made 2 posts about this woman on the same day, September 8th, because she got a job. And what was her crime, you guys? Did she advocate for murder? Did she say that Palestinians should be genocided? Did she say that people of a certain intelligence should be forced to be in the mines? Which all things Asmongold said, no. She worked on a video game that they didn't like. And by just that alone, they are harassing her. They are stalking her. Her getting a job, her being hired by Microsoft as community manager is worthy of ire for them. Because of course it is. Because none of this shit has ever been about anything other than who can they harass and get away with doing. That's it. That is fucking it. And this video right here, right? As we go, hypocritical losers, which I stand by 100%. His whole thing was this game was an illegal immigrant simulator. So because he doesn't like the game, attack it. And now he's trying to be like, oh, well, these people should never have jobs. These people, and the reasoning why he says that is because he says it's an imagined slight. It's because they did this to me. That's always his response. It's just they did it to me.
Shouldn't view them as a person with a political disagreement from you. These are violent animals that are trying to destroy the last good thing that we have, which is the open ideas of political discourse.
Again, your president is sending the National Guard to predominantly black Democratic cities, or I should say Democratic cities with black mayors, because he views them as ideological enemies. Everything he claims to be against, he is in active support of, just so as long as it doesn't happen to him or people he likes. He doesn't give a shit. Again, if you guys go watch my video, he mentions that he doesn't care about people getting hate. He gets hate, so he doesn't give a shit. This guy doesn't care about anything.
and they're celebrating murdering people for doing it. And as soon as that starts happening, I don't want to know what's next. And the worst thing is that I already do, and I think you do too. And so anyway, we've got more of these here. His resignation is not enough for me. I hope he tanks the studio.
Madam Savvy, like, and this is the other aspect of this too. These fucking losers with zero motion, they all suck his disgusting balls because he will give them attention, and then they'll get an audience. They won't maintain the audience, of course, but they'll get an audience. That's why they tag him and everything. And he is such a fucking, there is no one on this fucking ecosystem who has a bigger bubble than Asmongold. He has 100% the largest echo chamber you will ever see. Ever. He has nothing but yes men in his vicinity, to the point where he called for the genocide of Palestinians because there's no one to check him at all, period, right? And these guys just want his attention because he gives them attention, which gives them more eyeballs, right? Which is why they're doing shit like this. Grums hasn't worked on his goddamn game in centuries, but he has more posts talking about Hassan than Ember. I don't even fucking know Madam Sappy does.
And cowards keep quiet. The studio deserves to go under. I understand why a lot of people at these companies don't speak up, which is why I suggest that if you work at one of these companies, please make sure to go to HR, showing themselves to be what they hate.
Also, how to fucking tell people you've never had an office job. Do you think HR does anything? like, do you think HR is this like powerful force that you guys, someone did something wrong? Like, if you've never worked in an office.
Authoritarian freaks that want to censor and silence anybody they despise. Yeah, I do. I do. I think that anybody who's advocating for killing people over speech like this should be censored. Absolutely.
So again, by your own definition, you should be censored. Tectone should be censored. Grum should be censored. Everyone you are aligned with should be censored. Your president called for, I know people are going to say you have to go this far back, but it still qualifies, right? There we go. Trump praises New Hampshire lawmaker who called for shooting Hillary Clinton 2019. And I know some people would say you have to go that far back. I think it's still pretty pertinent because he was still president at the time as he is now. I doubt his opinions have changed, but here he is praising. So then Asmongold, you should be against Trump, right? Because here he is praising for the death of somebody, a political opponent, for political reasons.
It's just normal. Absolutely. I don't, the person is simply trying to use your values to subvert you and take advantage of you and to push their own agenda and to hurt you. And so never listen to this, never play into this game, never even acknowledge that, that there's any validity to it at all. These people don't care about freedom of speech. The only time they bring it up is whenever they're trying to co-opt the person who does care about freedom of speech. And
this is you. This is literally you. You were a free speech absolute, and now you're like, actually, no. Actually, no more free speech, you guys. No more. Just like that, no more of this video either. No more of that. But like, so the reason why I showed all of this shit, right, is to highlight the point I made in this video, my other video, more clearly. These people don't care about anything that they're talking about. This isn't about freedom of speech because they don't care about freedom of speech. This isn't about getting justice for him because they don't give a shit about justice. Once they found out that the shooter was not a trans person or anyone who was on their ideological like opposition, it just became the shooter's motives don't even matter that much anymore. The shooter's motives don't matter. We don't care. We don't care. It's, oh my God, you guys are disgusting. You're sick people. Oh yeah, but by the way, I have been making fun of George Floyd this whole time. It's, oh my God. Democrats, the party of hate and violence. Also, here's my Christmas tree when I had my political enemies hung, lynched as decorations. These are the people who are telling you that you are bad for not feeling sad about Charlie Kirk passing. But again, I will always say this. This is what happens. This is what happens when you create an environment to which you tell people things like empathy are wrong and bad. Like, this is what they always want. They always want infinite grace and empathy for them and none for you. They always want to be able to oppress people, to attack people, to be vicious towards people. They want that. But if you give them that back, suddenly it's, wait a minute, you can't do that. It's against the rules. What's his name? Mighty Keith, YouTuber, he's also on Twitter, was responding to like Smash JT, and then suddenly everyone got real racist towards him. So then he was like, I don't want to interact with these people, and they're like scared. Oh my god! And it's just like, I'm gonna show you. Look at this, for example. Nancy Mace. We know Charlie Kirk would want us to pray for such an evil and lost individual like Tyler Robinson to find Jesus Christ. We would try to do the same. I think she goes on to say, look at that. Time to bring back the death penalty when she thought it was a trans shooter. But when she found out it was a white and most likely conservative or far right person, suddenly it's empathy. Suddenly it's, Charlie would want us to pray for such an evil. Like, it's such fucking horseshit, dude. And it's not just her. All of them are walking back this rhetoric. So like, and I wrote, you when you thought the shooter was trans. Enough is enough. Representative Nancy Mews comments on reports of Charlie Kirk's killer allegedly being, I'm not going to say that, but you can see that here. Goodbye to every single Democrat. Blow that bitch. This is from the side of people who are, you know, saying that the left is violent. But this is what Mighty Keith wrote, right? Mighty Keith is blocking people and hiding replies. Yeah, man, I'm no longer entertaining bad faith, act of ignorance. Like, what part of this can I have a conversation with? Please go back to whatever shithole country you belong to. Uganda or whatever the fuck it is. Yeah, I don't think you're human either. Fuck you. Best believe if you died, they would be memeing you and make fun of you, by the way. We don't see niggas as human. Acknowledging Negro behavior isn't evil, it's the truth. And then, I mean, like, and they're upset that he hid these. And all Chief said was essentially he finds it hard to find sympathy for a person who didn't see them as human. And if you got to hear earlier in the stream, you understand why he feels that way, why a lot of people feel that way, right? And they're like, Charlie Kirk was deeply Christian. Of course, he saw his political enemies as human. Your tweet is more a projection of how you view your enemies than the other way around. He was not evil and he saw everyone as human. He literally did not see everyone as human. He wanted unity and saw beyond skin color. He isolated black people to such a degree that in his last speaking engagement, he was going to talk about how black people do gang violence on a question that was about how many trans people have committed mass shootings. Y'all complete method versions of him in your heads that have never existed serving narrative. You could have just said nothing. Disgraceful. Like, it's, and then, like, right, yes, why are you gaslighting me and telling me someone who said black women don't have the brain processing power to be taken seriously, so they steal white men's jobs isn't racist? Clearly that person has heard that and the other shit for Charlie and still don't think he's racist, so the discussion's in bad faith. Okay, I was just pointing out that these two replies are not mocking and offensive. Like, shut the fuck up, dude. Like, he saw beyond skin color. Like, no, he didn't. Can you give us the full context of the quote? How can we know you're not talking shit, taking out of context? I ask you guys, what possible context could there be to make black women don't have the brain processing power to be taken seriously, so they steal white men's job? Not racist. Unless, to be fair, unless she was saying it would be insane to say black come down processing power, brain power to be taken seriously, so they steal men's jobs, which he didn't. This is all bad faith. But this is what I'm talking about. This is all they do. Like, everything they do is planned ignorance. It's always bad faith. It's always bad faith. And then there's people who, again, like, this isn't long as I think. I haven't talked about Kirsten in a long time. But you have dumbasses and racist Nazis like Kirsha, who were talking about how, oh my God, the way they're treating Charlie Kirk. And then when this guy fucking murdered protesters, her response wasn't, oh my God, this is senseless violence. It was, in a time where lawlessness is permissible, sometimes reasonable men must do unreasonable things. There were people protesting and he fucking killed them. Kirsha, happy Otoya Yamaguchi Day. Remember to remove commies before they subvert your nation. And obviously Asma go on genocide, right? And these are the people, like, I read a lot of articles on stream, a lot of which invoke his name. To some people, he has basically been given sainthood status due to the frequency of his name coming up in articles still in 2024, 2025. He's coming up because you people keep fucking bringing him up. I started sing song Saint Floyd of the fentanyl in his name we pray as a way to joke at the people who put him on a pedestal. He wasn't a good person. He shouldn't have died. Both can be true. Weird. He wasn't a good person. He shouldn't have died, and both can be true. And yet, Charlie Kirk wasn't a good person. Shouldn't have died. But now I'm Satan for saying that. George Floyd said nothing about anyone. We have quotes directly from fucking Charlie Kirk calling black people, essentially black women, too stupid to do anything, so they need affirmative action. Like, we have all of this. All of this. And this, she said this shit this year, May 12th, 2025. But no, it's different, you guys, because something criminal, something too soon, something. Like, it's like, this is what I mean when I say this shit is insane. It's insane. It's insane. And that's why I said this. You guys, there's no point in bringing facts to motherfuckers that think that Democrats have weather dominators. They are so divorced from reality and brain broken, they aren't even worth engaging with. And it's true. Not to the people who actually care and want to, like, learn about shit, obviously engage them in good faith. But the vast majority of these people aren't that. They just want to be hateful. They're not looking to engage anything in good faith. Like, they're not engaging in good faith at all, because they never engage in good faith. Everything is blood sport. Oh, it's let's fucking harass people until the end of time because I don't like a tweet they made. But also, cancel culture bad. But also, if I do it, cancel culture good. Like, I will show you the tweet that they liked once again, so we can really hammer home this point. This is the tweet, right? All they did, they lost their job over this, mind you. Sorry, the blue sky, the skeet, blue sky, the cloud. This is the cloud, whatever. This is the post that they made. This is what they had them losing their minds over, okay? This is a bridge too far for them. But Kenneth Roth, let me zoom in for you guys. There you go. Drug trafficking is a crime, not an act of war. Traffickers must be arrested, not summarily executed, which the U.S. forces just illegally did. Shut the fuck up. I voted for this. Cartels are international terrorist organizations and get the full force of the U.S. military. So, liking a tweet that's a joke about hoping the killer's name was Mario so Luigi know his brother has his back? Awful. Let's harass them to the end of time. Advocating for extrajudicial killings? Hell yeah, dude. Like, this is, and it's not just him, by you. It's I did bookmark this one too. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? I have so many bookmarks. Here we go. Smash JT was also one of those people who were. So let's walk it back a bit. Well, he's blocked me. I blocked him. So this is what Chief Keef said earlier. Charlie Kirk was a very evil man. He was. He spent most of his career dividing this country with race-baiting rhetoric, defending pedophiles, and advocating for genocide. All true. I showed you guys this earlier in the video. I will be honest and say it's hard to find sympathy for a person who didn't see me as human. I don't think murder is ever the right course of action, though. I will not miss Charlie Kirk, but I don't think he deserved to die. Hopefully, this country will one day come together instead of feeding into the division most political commentators and figureheads spew out. This is Smash JT's response. I had a feeling that post yesterday was him testing the waters to see if it was safe to dive, and with what he was really thinking, this Mighty Keef dude is a real piece of shit. Done trying to understand and accept the different point of view. Fuck these people. Even Mold King himself, Asmongold, wrote, "This is just my opinion. With all the unhinged psychotic posts celebrating the shooting, Keith doesn't seem that crazy. We shouldn't expect people to make the guy out to be a saint if they didn't like him, and he clearly states what he does is wrong. Bigger fish to fry. This is extremely reasonable." Right? Now Smash GT says, fuck this guy. Real piece of shit, right? Because he simply isn't sad that Charlie Kirk is dead because he was an evil man. Here's Smash JT laughing about 200 people dying in a plane crash. The video says 241 killed, 1 survivor in Air India plane crash. And this is his reaction.
Kyle B, fear the Hoggies for the 2. What you hear on Black Box, fug, sheet, I reckon.
One point for doing racist accent.
Oh shit.
And these are the people. These are the people who are trying to tell other people they're bad because they're not sad Charlie Kirk is dead. Oh, sorry. Are we certain that they were cartels? No, we're not. We're not certain at all. Yeah. These are the people colluding with Asmongold. Granted, not one instance Asmongold showed that he can be a human being, but these are the people that he's relying on. Grums, who's pro extrajudicial killings, Smash JT, who doesn't give a shit about life apparently and thinks it's funny that people died in a plane crash, even to the point where he's making fun of their accents. These are the same people telling you right now that these guys are unhinged. He said Chief Keef. He said Keef was unhinged. He said he was a piece of shit because Keef said that he doesn't think that Charlie Kirk should have been murdered, but he isn't sad that he's gone. But then they expect people like me to have infinite empathy for them. And I have stated on multiple occasions, I don't fucking work that way. I am not built that way. You might have to find another person, maybe someone who's like a Buddhist or whatever, who can have infinite compassion for people like that. I can't, because they will show you time and time and time again, when you give them an inch, they will go 1,000 miles and they expect you to give them more inches. Don't take that out of context. They will expect you to constantly and consistently turn the other cheek. They always want you to go the high road. I was never a fan of Michelle Obama's phrase of, if they go low, we go high, because that only works when the opposite side has a conscience. But when you have seen over the last decade at this point, the depravity that's been allowed to go on, you have seen them justify children being killed in schools. You see them justify going after trans people, the cruelty in which they go after marginalized communities in this country, let alone just like black people. They are going after marginalized communities with such regularity that when they heard that Charlie Kirk was shot, the first thing they did was say it was a trans shooter. Because that creates the permission structure, right, to harm trans people. Like, that is where we are at. And it is those very same people who are now trying to tell everyone else who's for the first time giving them not only the exact treatment that they have been giving everyone else, but giving the treatment they have been advocating for. Don't like empathy. Empathy is a new age concept that does lots of harm. They have now experienced for once the type of shit they put other people through, and they can't handle it. You know what the worst part is though, you guys? Like, honestly, the worst part is I still have hope and faith. That's the worst part. I still have hope and faith that humanity will overcome our worst instincts and actually, you know, like treat each other with empathy again, and then work on fixing the many, 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 many wrongs that we have witnessed. Even in the face of people misrepresenting my character, of people sending death threats out to their ideological opponents. I've never been a proponent of death threats or anything like that. But even through all of that, I still believe that we can be better than this. And now my approach might be a bit harsh. That's because I believe this is the only avenue we have left. I can't be like the gentle coddling person because they've been coddled too much and only slightly reprimanded. And now we're in a situation where literally our president can just make shit up, and that's what happens. People can just make shit up and have no pushback. Like, do you know how crazy it is? And this is me not being political for a second. You know how crazy it is to see the that pro ZD video I made, and to find out that all the harassment he got was for some shit he didn't even say. And like all the quote unquote evidence that they have is somehow deleted in the time we live in, where you can use a Wayback Machine and find basically anything. And people were just like, he said this. That's it. He said it. And because he said it, we're going to attack him and harass him forever. Like, that's insane to me. That like we just have this. This is just the reality. Someone could just make something up to profit off of, and then that's it. Like we just this is just where we're at now. You have content creators wielding power so much so that they can be put in the government. Charlie Kirk was a podcaster, not a political theorist, has no political degree, just a podcaster. And then the right gave him money, and he has Turning Point USA, and that was all he did. And now he's getting the posthumously after he died. Now he's getting the Presidential Medal of Freedom, an award that's supposed to be given to citizens. Was like the highest honor you can get. He's getting buried like he was in the army. They're calling him a martyr and a saint, all these things. But they wouldn't even fly their flags at half mast for the recent school shooting we had.